Anyway, the other big operating event, which we can't look aside from, was, of course,
Oh,
Field Day last
yes,
month.
it
And
was.
so I think that's our main topic for this evening. We're going to take it a little bit different angle wise, though. You guys already know band conditions have been tough. As we led up to Field Day, they were predicting that there was going to be aurora activity. So geomagnetic storms were in the area. We weren't sure if bands are going to be participating, but I think we got off fairly okay. Some of the bands that we thought were going to be our bread and butter bands didn't end up producing quite as well, but other bands were open. And so we were able to
Mhm.
shift and move as we went through the Field Day. I will say, before we get too far into this, if you didn't go check out the Everyday Ham coverage of the South Lyon Area Amateur Radio Club's Field Day, we did post a 18-minute video, a pretty quick one that walks you through the whole site. And I am very proud of what we did this year. I just want to say that
Mhm.
out loud. First of all, I am the event coordinator for the South Lyon Area Amateur Radio Club. I tried
Pat
to
yourself on
retire.
the back, bud. You
I
deserve
tried,
it.
but it was
Yeah.
it was not a one-man show by any means. There was a whole bunch of contributors this year, and I just wanted to recognize that it really does take a club, a crew, and a bunch of interested folks to make a great event. And this year's event really was exceptional. Rory gave us some kudos right off the bat, said it was his favorite one
Yeah,
ever.
and that's not by QSO count. That's not the case, and I don't.
Yep.
We'll see which way you're going to drive the conversation here, Jim. So you can bump me if I'm getting ahead of what you have in mind. But I
No.
mean, our overall QSO count was a little over 1,000,
Yep.
1193. We were not a powerhouse station out of downtown South Line. We were
Yeah.
running
Three
three
alpha.
stations, 3 alpha at 100 watts, and on decent antennas, but we did have the hex beam, but no big beams.
Yeah, we
Nope.
did.
Um, eh, to get that many contacts, we beat last year's score by nearly double.
Yep.
And last year we did struggle with band conditions, but this year we still had band conditions, but we had, I think, a few more operators participating through the event. But
Yes.
the thing we absolutely won on, and this is the thing about Field Day. It's the being in a public area. It's being accessible to the public, and it's making it open and receptive and understanding to the public. And a lot of things were done. If you watch that 18-minute video, for sure, it goes into great detail. The signage was top notch. The location was excellent in town. The facility is a known facility to anyone who lives in this town or
Yep.
nearby.
Yep.
We did a lot of things right that way. And I think when we started talking about planning this Field Day, we knew we would be giving up a little bit of the typical Field Day operation by doing this. We
Yep.
made the understanding with each other we were not going to run a generator. That wasn't our focus this year to run emergency power. We did have emergency power available. We did run solar and battery power on several contacts to get that particular set of bonus points, but that wasn't our focus this year. We all know how to start a generator. We know we could do it if we had to do it, but our focus was the community this year.
Yep.
So a lot of things were done right with that. And then one pat on the back for me was my 109 CW contacts during
Nice.
Field Day. So
Nice.
that was
Yeah,
that
remember
was
when I
that
said you
was
need to give
fun.
yourself more credit? So I'm glad you are,
There
because
you go.
you've
That
had a
was
good journey in CW here in a very
Yeah, that
short
was
period.
I made
Yeah.
178 contacts at Field Day, and 109 of them were CW.
It was
CW
last
Excellent.
year about around Field Day that I think you committed yourself to learning it for QSO Party and Field Day of this
probably.
year.
Yeah,
And you, I believe, achieved both of those things. You operated at QSO Party with some CW,
I
not maybe
did.
as much as you wanted to, but at Field Day, 100 contacts is no slouch for a CW
I
operator.
was scared to do it. I had to work myself up to doing it, and what happened was, late in the evening, getting my days mixed up in my head. Late in the evening on Saturday,
Yep.
a
Yep.
local friend, a longtime friend of mine, probably would consider him an Elmer at this point, Frank NF8M.
Hmm.
He came in and he sat down and ran CW, and that's more or less all he does. And I took a very maybe 10 or 15 minutes and sat with him and got comfortable with the logging software and actually watched him just a few minutes to get my nerve up. He went home. I got the station by myself, and I got started because I'm the kind of person I can't be watched. So I had to do it with a minimal
No
audience
audience.
before
Yeah.
before I could be comfortable. After that, people came around and it was fine. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so a couple. I mean, you touched on a ton of the things there that I think were really important about this event, right? There was a major shift that we made this year, and what we really set out to do this year was to involve the community involve more of our operators in the club. Our club is about 130 strong at this point in 2026. So try to bring more of those people out to use the radios at field day, and try to make this a more open and accessible field day than we have ever done in the past. Now, I've only been around the club for a couple of years, guys, but we had moved the field day around. It's been in a lot of different locations, and field day has been a lot of different things to a lot of the different club members across the timeline. But our current, and the one that I had the most experience, was more of a camping event, right? It was more of a go out into the woods. You were out in a more rustic situation, and it embodied more of the emergency preparedness side of it. And we shifted away from it this year. We pulled the club members, right? And this is one of the things that perhaps if you're thinking about how do we make these events more engaging, I want to help my club do more cool stuff. Pull the club members, right? That's another thing that I wanted to say out loud is we've done more surveys, asked more questions. What do people want to see? And this was one of the pieces of feedback we got out of the second year of the cabin, second or third year of the cabin, which was we needed more accessibility. There was a lot of discomfort for the folks that were there that were perhaps more advanced in age or otherwise because it was hot. I mean, field day happens at the end of June, start of July. It's 90 plus degrees in Michigan in most cases, and the cabin we were out in was just boiling. And so we made some changes, right? It was more comfortable, like James and Rory both have alluded to, right? We had air conditioning, we had regular power that you plugged into the wall on. We didn't have to worry about some of that stuff, and so it was a whole different operating experience. And for me, I think that was important because it appealed to a different subset of folks, and so we were I think we were educating a little bit more than just experiencing field day. Go ahead, James.
Well, and I think, and we went in with this mindset too, but to maybe point to a more relevant topic that we're not the only ones thinking it, KMRD posted a YouTube video, is field day still relevant? And his thing was, I can go and activate mobile anywhere and, get that same thrill. So is field day still really something that is fun to do, right? And is it really the emergency preparedness that it had to be? And I think the thing is that we switched it this year, and that same mindset for us was, let's make it something for the community. And I think one of the best approaches we took was making it more, and I realize this is what a lot of clubs do, but it's something new for us. I think it was a big success, is we made it more like a barbecue. We didn't stress about the planning. We've set up radios now a ton. We've done, a lot of POTA in the park and summer events and all sorts of things in remote operation settings. So for our club, we're pretty used to it. As you said, we know how to start a generator. We're good. But I like that we approached it more as a summer barbecue, something for just anyone that's not even a radio nerd that can come out and just hang out with us and chill. We involved also so we were in the Historical Society. It's an old train station. They also have a museum attached, and we worked with them ahead of time to also open up the museum. So we had more community members coming in. Even my dad attended, who does not care about amateur radio at all. I think when he showed up, he goes, "Wow, you really are a nerd." And I said, thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. But he was like, "Oh, this is really cool." He sat there under the tent next to the GOTA station. He watched a couple kids activate. He watched his granddaughter get a couple contacts in on the GOTA station. He thought that was awesome. So to get on the air station, he thought that was awesome. And then he walked over to the museum and he talked to Linda, who's the Historical Society member, and he had a great time over there. So I think that type of approach where we weren't stressing about it, we just made it a casual environment. We showed up, we did all the things we needed to do. And then on the day of the event, we just chilled and we engaged with the community. We hung out, we talked, we had some fun. And I think that was a really robust approach as field day now in this new era, continues to evolve. And I think that was a big success.
I think the Historical Society, they were thrilled. I think she told me 20 people walked through the museum on that day that she was open, and she was like, thrilled that many people came through while there was an activity coinciding there at the depot. It was just very good that way, and I think the people that walked through that we didn't interact with, we got the morning dog walkers. So many of them stopped because it's in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's in town.
The morning bike riders.
They stopped and they looked. They saw these huge antennas in places they're not normally at, and they put they took the time to stop and read the signs. A couple of them stopped and asked questions. Bringing it into town, I mean, we had a number of folks that stopped out that had no interest of getting on the radio. They just came out, club members is what I'm speaking of there. They wanted to see what we were doing and how it was set up. And a couple of the longtime members were absolutely thrilled to see it in town at a place like that, at a building that they've used for years as a club meeting place, which is what that we do meet there.
Yep.
And it was good to see. What especially I enjoyed seeing is there were 3 or 4 gentlemen who they weren't able to be out there at all during the day, but Jim had set the setup time and publicized that, and they just came out to help pull wires around, put up antennas,
and
do a
thank
couple
you
things.
also, by the way, to all those people that just came out to set up. Huge thank you.
Yeah, big thanks to them for sure. I mean, that was unexpected. We didn't know what to expect for setup. We thought it might just be a couple of us being nerds and angry with each other at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. But the couple folks that came out, that was cool. And they, like I said, they had no intention. We didn't see. One of them came back and came and sat through an evening shift, but 3 of them they never came back. That was all the time they had for the weekend. But they wanted to at least come out and help and see what we had going on. That was very cool.
I was extremely appreciative of those folks that were able to come out and show us some additional contribution. Honestly, that's the kind of thing that really drives your club engagement, is to have folks show up, even if they can't stay the whole time. Many of us aren't able to spend a whole weekend doing this, right? As a person that doesn't have kids, that doesn't have some of those commitments where I have the flexibility to do it, it makes it okay for me to spend that kind of time out there. But not everybody can do that. And I think that being aware of the limited amount of time that some of your club members are going to have to give to an event like this, you really can still make it interesting and engaging for those folks as well. And plus one, to what Rory said on the folks that came out in the morning. Now, I got a little strife because I did say we're not setting up on Friday night like we used to do, which was set it all up on Friday night, and then all night long all we did was play with radios and chat, which I liked. I like socializing, but there was no reason at this new event space to have that extra lead time, to have that extra weight on the event. I wanted it to be show up on Saturday, we'll set it up, but we got going early in the morning.
Keep it breezy.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's kind of what I would say there.